Now at 9, meet the actress who attended the Cruisapalooza in Webb City. Plus, the city of Neosho says Newton County is still not paying the city the money it owes from a TIF sales tax. And
the House has passed an $886 billion defense spending bill, but it's likely dead in the water over in the Senate. I'm Caroline Shively in Washington. I'll have that story coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Dow Quick. The storm system brought some very high winds to the 4 states this evening. It's mostly past us now. Chloe Arroyo joins us with a first look at the weather.
That's right, that's right. I almost called you Doug. It has been a long day. But here's a look at what we saw earlier. This is a beautiful view from our folks out in Erie, Kansas. This is from Janet Cruz. This is a picture perfect wall cloud. And really behind this cloud is where we see those downdrafts of cooler air, which is forcing the warmer air ahead of the clouds to push up really quickly. Once you see the mixing, that's when it develops this really prominent wall cloud, and that's what we continued to see throughout the evening hours as we had this bow echo feature across the board. Past 6 hours, here's this storm system pushing through our area, gave us a lot of severe weather, and on the back end of that, even a lot of heavy rainfall associated with it and some thunder and lightning, but nothing as severe as what we saw earlier. But coming up in a bit, I'm going to talk about the timeline of when we could see this push out of our region, as well as the breakdown for the rest of the week. Down.
All right, see you soon. A lot of 4-staters are going to have to spend part of their weekend cleaning up storm damage. As you might imagine, we have scattered reports of trees and limbs down all across numerous counties in the area, but we do not know of any injuries. We invite you to submit your storm damage photos to the KOAM Facebook page. Several communities have also experienced power outages this evening. City of Neosho, Missouri says Newton County is still not paying the city the money it owes from a TIF sales tax. The city and county have been in a dispute over the tax money dating back to 2021 when the city sued the county. In April of this year, a judge ruled in favor of the city, saying the county needed to restart payments. Now the county says it's waiting on paperwork from the city to send the payments, but the city says that's just another excuse. In November, a judge will determine how much money, including interest, the county must pay to the city of Neosho. The Veterans Health Care System of the Ozarks is raising awareness about an expansion of benefits for veterans under the PACT Act. The new law adds health care benefits for veterans exposed to burn pits, Agent Orange, and other toxic substances. The VA will host an outreach event tomorrow in Joplin to help veterans sign up for the PACT Act. It's going to run from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Joplin VA clinic.
If you were in the Vietnam War or Gulf War or post 9/11, that is the area that they have expanded the benefits for, and near burn pits. So if you have hearing loss, if you have chronic pain, there's a whole bunch of conditions.
Welcome to Cruisapalooza in Webb City. It features multiple events such as a TikTok meet and greet and a vintage car show. However, their main goal is to honor active duty and retired veterans as well as first responders. This year, the Cruisapalooza focused on honoring Corporal Jacob Williams, who recently passed away.
Unfortunately, we lost one of our own last week, Corporal Jacob Williams, and so we wanted to make sure that we celebrated his life and his service to our country and community. So of course we dedicated our event to him, but also we are asking our vendors to choose a veteran or an emergency responder fundraiser that they would like to donate to.
Cruisapalooza will continue tomorrow until 10 p.m. in King Jack Park. Cruisapalooza also had a very special guest today. KOAM's Anthony Saviello has more.
If you were a kid in 1988, then you may remember the fiery redhead Pippi Longstocking. But you might be wondering where the girl who played Pippi Longstocking is now. Turns out, she's right here in the 4 states. The only hard part is trying to find her. Pippi Longstocking. I'm dying to see her. As it turns out, I wasn't the only one interested in meeting Pippi. What was your favorite part about Pippi Longstocking?
She was very unique. She was very fun. She never let anybody decide who she was. She decided that.
Though it was nice to meet fans of Pippi, I had to continue on. However, not before getting a beverage. Plus, who better to find the strawberry-haired adventurer than the people who sell strawberry lemonade? Do you have an idea of who might know where she is? You know, that way? She's that way, okay. Well, while I'm here, I think I might as well have some lemonade. Now that I was pointed in the right direction, I still couldn't find her. Until... Excuse me, have you all seen Pippi Longstocking? I cannot seem to find Pippi Longstocking. Right over there?
Absolutely.
Well, how about that? I've missed her this entire time. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
I'm gonna go take off and say hi to Pippi Longstocking now, folks, okay? I'm gonna go get her. I'm gonna go do it. Pippi! Pippi Longstocking! Thank God! Oh my goodness, hi Pippi! How are you?
Hi.
It's great to see you. And how did the movie star feel to be at Cruisapalooza? Well, let's find out.
Well, I love the Ozarks. I actually moved to Grand Lake, so yeah, and so I've been doing appearances. The people are so cool, so welcoming and so friendly, and I'm thrilled to be sharing the stories of Pippi Longstocking, the bravery, the kindness, and inspiration with the younger generations. And yeah, so I've made a ton of friends.
Reporting in Webb City, I'm Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
It's more than just meeting Pippi. Those who attended today were also able to take photos and ask questions and buy some merch. With temperatures in the 90s today, it can be hard to enjoy the outside. However, that didn't stop Food Truck Friday in Carthage. The monthly event took place today in Central Park, and local vendors discussed the struggles of owning a food truck in the summer heat. Some say the temperature makes sales decrease, but others say that they're just unpredictable.
It goes a little down, but like I said, you'll be surprised. Sometimes, some months it's, you might get customers, like normally, and some months like, oh, what happened? It's like more people came out. So you can't, How's it going?
The next Food Truck Friday is going to be August 11th at Central Park. A documentary project is chronicling the events of the Bloody Bender murder saga that swept through southeast Kansas 150 years ago. It involved a family of serial killers who lived in Labette County, accused of killing at least 11 people. Today, a panel of the people involved in the project gathered at Independence, Kansas to discuss it.
We need to know where we think the cabin is, or the burial grounds, or the outhouse. And because when you're talking, even 1 acre is a lot of ground. We're talking, this is 160 acres. We also want to find out where the Osage Trail was, because that's a real historic trail, because it was only one of the few paths through here.
Researchers are also investigating the Bender property near Cherryville. Coming up, researchers report possible cancer risks in an artificial sweetener. The pandemic brought a significant increase in cannabis emergencies for people younger than 25. The Centers for Disease Control says that includes children under 10, with more than 70 visits to emergency rooms each week by the middle of 2022. The CDC says adults should keep cannabis locked away, especially those edibles, which might look like candy. A new health warning for U.S. consumers. Experts with the World Health Organization are raising concerns that an artificial sweetener commonly found in diet sodas and chewing gum could pose a cancer risk. Fox Business Network's Jerry Willis has more.
The commonly used artificial sweetener aspartame is being labeled a possible carcinogen by the cancer research arm of the World Health Organization. The International Agency for Research on Cancer saying aspartame is possibly carcinogenic based on limited evidence. But another WHO health group issuing a second study at the same time concludes exactly the opposite, that aspartame is indeed safe when ingested in reasonable amounts. The study critical of aspartame drew fire from U.S. government and industry sources. The FDA saying this: The FDA disagrees with IARC's conclusion. FDA scientists reviewed the scientific information included in IARC's review in 2021 when it was first made available and identified significant shortcomings in the studies. The ruling has the potential to upend the food industry. A beverage industry executive telling Fox Business this.
The Joint Expert Committee on Food Additives with the WHO is the food safety agency, and they made it very clear that aspartame is safe. They did the more rigorous and more comprehensive review of aspartame and found it to be safe.
Aspartame, which first received federal FDA approvals for use as a tabletop sweetener 49 years ago, is now used in more than 6,000 products, including diet sodas, low-sugar juices, sugar-free desserts, gum, and yogurt, to name a few. We spoke to one dietitian who cautioned her clients against drinking aspartame, but not because of the cancer risk. Listen.
A dietitian, will always recommend or, hope that a patient would be opening to turning towards real sources of sweetness and staying away from these processed products in general, because it's not just the possible carcinogenic effect that we've heard about.
The FDA has set the average daily intake, or ADI, for aspartame at 50 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. In other words, you'd have to drink 36 cans of cola a day to exceed the ADI limits. In New York, Jerry Willis, Fox Business.
Chloe is next with a complete look at the forecast, and later a former Crowder College softball player is moving across state lines to play for Pitt State.
Join
just for a second, our mic is not working. It is not working at the moment. Here's a look at our Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, just west of Seneca, Missouri. Got a lot of remnants of the rainfall, but here's a look at a wall cloud that we saw earlier. This is from Janet Cruz in Erie, Kansas. This is what we're looking at. This is a beautiful view, and it's due to the cold air on the back side of it pushing down and the warmer air coming up to the front of it. And that is what's causing that wall cloud becoming so prominent. Here's a look at your overall radar the past 6 hours. Here's what we've been tracking. Lots of severe storms along the leading edge of this storm. Up close, we're only seeing a lot of heavy rainfall. Nothing severe. You can see around the Monette and Cassville area as well as Pineville. Getting a lot of heavy thunderstorms, but nothing on the severe end. Now you can also see in northeastern Oklahoma, they're seeing the back end of the storm system. Above all, nothing severe at this point. But here's what we're looking for the rest of the evening. About 10 p.m., we're going to start to see this phase out of our area. Temperatures in the 70s, cooling down even into the 60s for some folks right now. Just from the heavy rainfall that we saw, we're cooling down quite a bit. We're going to be left with some clouds here and there, but then we'll see some more remnants of that storm system on the back end of it, very isolated throughout the later evening hours, none of which will be severe or strong at that point, just really the leftovers of that storm into Saturday morning. We'll see a little bit of that in northeastern Oklahoma as well as northwest Arkansas. This is a look at Saturday at 6:30 a.m. You'll wake up to temperatures upper 60s, lower 70s, and we'll continue to see that and heading into the mid-morning hours as well. After a while, we'll see those clouds phase out into the afternoon hours, leaving you with a calm afternoon, a much-needed break on Saturday afternoon. And we'll continue to see that into the evening hours as well. Temperatures rising up once again into the 90s, but a little bit cooler than what we have been seeing. Look into the morning, we'll see once again remnants tonight of those storms heading into the rest of your night. And then into the morning, we'll see those temperatures begin to rise into the upper 70s. Your low, 69 for Joplin. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. We've got temperatures beginning to warm up once again into midweek next week, triple digits on Tuesday and Wednesday as well, before we see another cool down by the end of next week. Some sporadic rain showers here and there, but aside from that, we'll see nothing but hot temperatures heading into the rest of this week.
Of course. Chloe over here because we're having a bit of mic problems.
Yes.
So we're sharing a mic at the moment.
Rolling with the punches.
But it all works.
Yes,
Thank you
it
so
sure
much,
does.
Chloe. Coming up, how a backlog of passport applications is creating a headache for travelers. United Airlines is updating some of their seats for the first time in more than a decade. The best part about the new first-class seats might be the wide barrier between them. They have a privacy partition, wireless charging in every armrest, more comfortable headrests, they say, and personal 13-inch TVs. United will put the new seats on 200 planes starting this month. If you're still waiting for your passport weeks or months after applying, you are not alone. The backlog is getting longer as a record number of applications pour in. Fox's Jared Halpern has more from Capitol Hill.
This is a crisis. As the summer travel season heats up, the wait for passports is getting longer. More Americans are now finding their vacations in jeopardy as process times shoot up to 10 to 13 weeks. That is an increase from the 8 to 11-week wait reported back in February. Now, lawmakers on Capitol Hill are asking the State Department to take action, including getting the online passport system working again. It's been shut down since earlier this year and is not scheduled to be back online until 2024.
Virtually every other system in our country right now has an online system. We need to expedite that online system of passport renewal.
The State Department says the backlog is partly due to the pandemic. Millions of Americans let their passports expire while they were isolating. And now, with travel picking up to pre-pandemic levels, more than 500,000 applications are being submitted every week. That is a new record, and it's forcing some families to get creative when it comes to finding an appointment at a passport office.
The only appointment available, she was calling from Sacramento, was in Boston. So they flew to Boston.
The State Department is now planning a series of passport fairs across the country to expedite the process. But in the meantime, lawmakers say Americans need to think ahead if they're planning a trip overseas.
I think help is on the way. That doesn't help you if you're planning on traveling in August.
The passport fairs are scheduled to end on August 30th, but they could be extended depending on demand. On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Up next, how a lemonade stand is making a difference for a children's hospital. A young boy in Rhode Island is making a difference with an inspiring initiative to help other kids. 9-year-old Theo Durson's lemonade stand raised $2,000 for a Hasbro Children's Hospital there. This is the third year in a row he's used the stand to benefit kids at the hospital. Durson himself receives treatment at Hasbro Children's Hospital for ADHD and Tourette's. Durson says he wants people to get better and to feel better like he does. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Coming up, drivers on I-44 in central Missouri get a scare when the road started buckling under the intense heat. Plus, authorities in Missouri investigate a plane crash that left 2 people dead and another injured. Boy, the scorching summer heat caused quite a scare for drivers in Doolittle, Missouri. The roads buckled and caused several accidents. Reporter Lauren Schwenker has the latest.
And it sent us flying in the air, and then we came down and crashed like pretty hard on the ground.
Hannah Hilton and her friends' lives flashed before their eyes Tuesday afternoon.
When we were in the air, I'm not really sure how high we flew or anything, but it felt pretty high to us.
While westbound on I-44 near Doolittle, their car hit what investigators call a major blow-up in the road.
We didn't really know what was happening until we hit the ground. And honestly, all of us thought the windows had shattered once it hit because all of the stuff flew.
Doolittle firefighters and the Highway Patrol responded to the incident. Investigators say no one got seriously hurt. Both westbound lanes are now back open. But MoDOT crews only did a quick fix to get the traffic flowing again.
We did a temporary repair last night. It's open to traffic now. We've got a contractor who's going to come in and do a more permanent repair here middle of next week.
MoDOT engineers say incidents like this are not uncommon during extreme heat.
Their frequency does increase whenever the temperatures are elevated as they are today.
Now, this isn't the first time this area of I-44 near Doolittle has experienced issues. Back in June of 2019, the hot temperatures also caused a crack in the road, this time going eastbound.
It's one this year, one last year. We've got another segment of concrete within our 18 counties that similar has happened.
As for Helton, she says she wishes there would have been a warning.
I feel like they should have had signs up at least, because I heard that it's happened multiple times over the years.
And she urges other drivers to keep their eyes on the road.
Be safe when you're traveling, especially on the highway, and be aware of your surroundings.
Again, MoDOT does plan to have those permanent repairs done by the middle of next week. But anyone who sees signs that the road is starting to buckle is urged to call MoDOT right away and report it. Authorities say 2 people are dead after a small plane crashed in a wooded area near the Lake of the Ozarks. Happened just after noon yesterday near the town of Osage Beach, Missouri. Authorities say the plane had taken off just shortly before crashing. There were 3 people on board. 22-year-old Hayden Richhart and 19-year-old Evan Van Diver were killed. The other person on board was seriously injured. The cause of that crash is still under investigation. Police in New York have finally made an arrest in connection with the killings of as many as 10 people on Long Island, New York, more than a decade ago. 59-year-old Rex Herman appeared in a Long Island court where he's charged with 6 counts of murder. Since 2010, more than 10 victims have been discovered strewn across a stretch of Ocean Parkway, several of them identified as sex workers. What's usually an overwhelmingly bipartisan vote was a nail-biter today. Funding the military is not usually controversial, but in a closely divided House, conservatives managed to ram through amendments on a number of controversial issues that Democrats could not support. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively has more.
We voted to get rid of this left-wing, socialistic, woke agenda that has not only been crammed down the throats of the American people, but crammed down the throats of our military.
It's unconscionable that extremist politicians are willing to jeopardize our military readiness and our national security to push their unpopular partisan agenda.
After hours of fiery debate, scores of amendments, and a very late-night session on Thursday, the House passed the annual defense bill Friday, but just barely.
The yeas are 219 and the nays are 210.
In what is normally a bipartisan affair, this vote held closely to party lines. Republicans added in measures that bar the military from paying abortion-related travel expenses, restrict certain diversity initiatives, and block some medical care for transgender personnel.
We don't want Disneyland to train our military. We want our men and women in the military to have every defense possible.
It undermines it in a poisonous and cancerous way by undermining the ability of the United States military to have an armed services that is fully reflective of our society.
The bill authorizes a 5.2% pay raise for troops, money for new ships and drones, and $300 million for Ukraine. In total, it authorizes $886 billion for defense and energy spending, but the actual funding is voted on in later bills. The measure now goes to the Democratically controlled Senate, where they're coming up with their own defense bill. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
A bit later, we're going to hear from some parents and educators about the benefits of 4-day school weeks.
Well, it sure has been an eventful day for all in terms of the storms. Thankfully, we're starting to see that calm down just a hair, but we saw a lot of rainfall with this, and you can see that in the parking lot of our Indigo Sky Casino and Resort just west of Seneca, Missouri. In fact, you can only see half because the building is covered from a raindrop on the camera. But here's a look at what we saw earlier. Here's a wall cloud in Erie, Kansas. This is from Janet Cruz. This photo right here is a picture perfect, pretty much a textbook version of this wall cloud. From the back end of it, we've got the cooler air on the back side with that downdraft that's pushing the warmer air forward, causing the mixing, and that's what's bringing us that prominent, really strong looking wall cloud associated with it. And boy, was it strong. Wind speeds consistently upwards of 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. So a very weak low end tornado is the equivalent of that wind speed right there. So here's the past 6 hours. We've seen this push off to the south and to the east. And that strong line of storms pushed through pretty quickly, like Once again, 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. That's going to continue to move really fast. And wind gusts upwards of 70 to 80 mile per hour winds with that as well. But here's a look at it now. We're starting to calm down just a little bit. Greenfield, even up north in Stockton. You guys are pretty much done, and the rain is starting to calm down quite a bit. Cassville, Branson, and as well as Pineville and Neosho, not as much. Northeast Oklahoma, you guys are starting to see that fizzle out as well. So we're going to continue to see that. 10 o'clock, we'll see this push out for the majority of us and pack its bags and pretty much move on out, with leaving us with temperatures in the lower 70s. Some folks might be in the 60s based on how much rain you saw, and then we'll see a couple remnants into Saturday morning, leftovers, if you will, of this storm system, mainly in northeastern Oklahoma and northwestern Arkansas, none of which will be strong, none of it will be severe at that point. We'll just be very scattered and isolated at that point. We'll continue to see that when you wake up in the morning. We'll see a couple clouds here and there, but then we'll start to fizzle out in terms of those clouds into the afternoon hours. So 2, 3, 4, even around dinner time will be pretty clear, leaving us with temperatures into the upper 80s, lower 90s. After a while, 5 o'clock tomorrow will be lower 90s, upper 80s for the majority of the viewing area. So into the morning, we'll see temperatures into the upper 60s, and then we'll warm up pretty quickly into the 70s, and once again, like I said, into the upper 80s, lower 90s before we see a pretty significant warm up heading into this week. Look at Tuesday and Wednesday, 102, 101. We're getting back to those triple digit temperatures, unfortunately, but we'll cool down into the mid 90s. I guess that's a cool down at this point. I guess you could say. So we'll be pretty clear on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah,
but
technically a bit cooler, I guess, than triple digits, but still it's pretty warm, especially for those people who have to work outside to clean up the damaged limbs and trees in their yard.
Exactly. Let's hope it will cool down a little bit for them.
Thanks, Chloe. Coming up in sports, a Joplin High School softball player announces her commitment to play at Arkansas Tech. Plus, former NFL quarterback Philip Rivers has an exciting announcement to share. Rod Baldridge is going to have those details next in sports.
The Joplin Eagles softball team's only about a month and a half away from the season starting, but just in the last few weeks, the Eagles center fielder Abigail Lowry announced her commitment to Arkansas Tech. Lowry is out of Joplin High School, was named first team all-district as a sophomore. Lowry was a key piece in leading the Joplin Eagles to a 23-11 season in 2022. The Joplin center fielder isn't set to head out to Arkansas Tech until 2025.
Yeah, Abby's a really good player for us. She's manned center field for 2 years, and she plays the game hard. She has a lot of fun, but if you watch her in the games, it's very clear that she's made a commitment to the game.
When I went there, I just fell in love with the campus. I fell in love with the girls. I fell in love with just like everything and the coach. So I knew I wanted to be there, and I could have gone somewhere else, but it was just one of those things where Coach Jones has been there for me. She's helped me a lot, and I knew that it would just be good for me in the future.
Sticking with the sport of softball, the Pittsburgh State softball program announced they have signed a pitcher out of Crowder Community College. The familiar face originally comes out of Seneca, Missouri, as she isn't set to join the team until the 2024 season. Chelsea Beville, out of Rough Riders, had a 1.74 ERA last season. She also led Crowder with 230 total strikeouts and 9.7 strikeouts per inning. Sophomore pitcher wraps up her junior college season as the two-time first-team All-Region pitcher. Here's what Beville had to say about her decision to sign with Pittsburgh State.
I got a hold of Coach Jenny Fuller, and luckily she wanted me to come to Pitt, and I was really excited because I liked them even when I went on my visit last year. Going JUCO makes you an absolute dog. Like, you go from JUCO where you have no limits on practice, no limits on anything. You're practicing all the time and always putting in like a bunch of work, and then you're going to go to Pitt where you're limited. So it's like, to me, I feel like I've done a good job preparing myself going to Crowder. And I'm just really excited because I know Pitt's a really good program, and I've seen their facilities, and I'm just really excited to get in there.
The Missouri Southern Lions volleyball team opens up their season on August 25th, but earlier this morning the team announced 6 newcomers joining the team this fall. MSSU volleyball head coach Callie Mater has done some big-time work in the transfer portal. The Lions announced they will bring in Lacey Bauer from Cowley County Community College. Kaylin Hasingawa comes in from Hawaii. Then Elena Mausch comes in from Missouri State West Plains. Kyla Randall is the only Division I transfer coming in from Oral Roberts. Sydney Unruh is the other one of those girls coming in from Cowley County Community College. And then rounding out the list is Paula Ramos, who's transferring in from West Cliff University. The NBA Summer League has just flown by for the past first few weeks, and in Las Vegas, the Oklahoma City Thunder are wrapping up their final Summer League game with the Washington Wizards. First quarter, Thunder down by 3. Second round pick and former K-State Wildcat Keontae Johnson steps back to drain the 3. Emaw Johnson finished with 9 points. Third quarter now, Wizards down by 1. First round pick by Bilal Coulibaly knocks down the 3. Washington leads by 2. Fourth quarter now, Washington up by 15. There he goes again. Coulibaly drives down the lane for the slam. Coulibaly finished with 19 points. Wizards win it over the Thunder 105-89. And now on a final note, some Kansas City Chiefs fans may remember former San Diego Chargers quarterback Phillip Rivers. And the Rivers family announced that they are one step closer to having their very own offspring football team. The ex-NFL star's wife is pregnant with their 10th child. Rivers revealed the exciting news this week, saying a baby boy is expected to arrive this fall.
Wow, number 10
Number
on the
10.
way.
Oh my goodness, it's hard enough with one, I've heard, but 10.
It is. It's also expensive, but I think Phillip Rivers can probably
Yeah, I think so.
afford it. We'll be right back. The Biden administration has announced $39 billion in student debt relief. The administration announced 804,000 borrowers will have their student debt wiped away in the coming weeks. It's due to administrative fixes that more accurately count qualified monthly payments. There are currently several different kinds of income-driven repayment plans for borrowers with federal student loans. Plans base payments on a borrower's income and family size regardless of their total outstanding debt. A dream come true for some students and their teachers. A shorter school week could be coming to a district near you. In an era of falling test scores, however, not everyone is on board. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera has the latest on a trend that's gaining traction around the country and the red flags some experts are waving.
Ringing in a new academic year signals a fresh beginning, and for some, a 4-day week. When classes resume at the San Elizario Independent School District in Texas later this month, students and staff will have Mondays off.
It's a mental health component for us.
They've dubbed the campaign as Mindful Eagle Mondays to promote self-care and quality of life for both students and teachers. In rural and smaller districts like San Elizario, where teacher recruitment can be more challenging, a 4-day school week is a huge draw.
I have never begun a school year as superintendent with as minimal as vacancies as we have now.
Data from Oregon State University shows about 2,100 schools across 26 states have switched to 4-day weeks, a number that is expected to grow. Advocates point to several other pros like saving money and improving student attendance.
They are the ones that are going to benefit from turning around and having quality educators teaching them every day.
But at a time when test scores are down and learning is lagging, research shows shorter weeks could hamper a student's academic progress in the long run.
Decrease in student achievement wasn't large and immediate, but rather students fell behind a little bit more every year.
Parents we talked to said they see benefits to fewer school days.
More family time, more 3-day week trips.
Even if some kids weren't so sure.
She actually liked the idea of 5 days because she likes to go to school and learn.
Almost 900 districts nationally have 4-day school weeks. That's up some 40% from 2019. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
Coming up, we're going to learn about a special connection between a couple who's been together for 65 years and Chick-fil-A. Everyone wants to know the secret to a long and happy marriage. Well, for one California couple, it's keeping the spark alive with weekly date nights at their local Chick-fil-A. Tony Lopez was there for this week's tradition when they celebrated a major milestone in their marriage.
It's date night for Bonnie and Lloyd Reynolds at their neighborhood Chick-fil-A.
We come here every week.
Just the two of us.
But this week, there's a little more fanfare. The couple, both in their 80s, are celebrating their 65th wedding anniversary.
We've gotten older, but we've grown together.
I'm still in love with her.
They're such a pleasant couple.
Restaurant employees look forward to their weekly date night tradition.
When you see them, the room just brightens up. Their love for each other is so evident.
And they wanted to make sure Bonnie and Lloyd's anniversary was extra special, with flowers, candles, and friends and family on hand to help celebrate.
And there's when they just first got married.
The couple even brought along some mementos, like their marriage certificate and family photos of their 3 sons, even a picture from their second date.
I was 14 years old.
Lloyd is more than willing to share his secrets with the younger generation. He even has a top 10 list on how to maintain a happy marriage.
The first one is don't never yell at each other unless the house is on fire.
It's a love that began back in their teens.
And I knew right away he was different.
Still strong more than 6 decades later.
I'm just really thankful that I have her. She's a blessing in my life.
Some good advice there. That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with video of a chimpanzee celebrating her 4th birthday. Let's make it a great weekend.